This week on Machinery Pete TV, we continue our visit to the Larry Leckband farm. This Massey Ferguson 4880 brought out the online bidders. Pete looks at price trends on self-propelled windrowers. And Pete looks at the availability of high-quality hay equipment at auction.
Your machinery is a serious investment and at the heart of every farming operation. Some call it a passion. We're Machinery Pete TV, and today we'll cover everything from auction roundups to the classics to the latest trends and technology. Machinery Pete, the most trusted name in farm equipment.
Machinery Pete thanks these premier sponsors for their support. Sullivan Auctioneers. Let our team of professionals show you how to make your auction a success. Visit sullivanauctioneers.com. Hey folks, welcome to Machinery Pete TV. Now, 2020, it's been a heck of a year with this pandemic, and today we're going to film an online auction by our good friends at BigIron.com. And I tell you, this is interesting. We're going to focus on Larry Leckband from Waukegan, Iowa, and his 100 plus collector items on the sale. And before we dive in and watch these beauties sell, we're going to go back to the studio, catch up on the latest farm equipment news.
All right, thanks Pete. I'm Clinton Griffiths. Several states are once again imposing restrictions as coronavirus numbers climb across the country. All this as the restaurant industry continues to deal with the financial effects of those spring lockdowns. The National Restaurant Association releasing new numbers about that impact, saying that total pandemic losses have reached $215 billion through October. It says October, however, saw monthly sales decline. It's the first drop since the end of the lockdowns last spring. The National Restaurant Association reporting monthly sales plunged in April to just $30 billion, but then rebounded to top $55 billion in both September and October. Leaders say the October sales decline is a troubling sign for the industry, as it likely was the last month for outdoor dining in many parts of the country. And there is some good news for farmers when it comes to one important resource in the country: water. A new study says farmers are using less of it overall. The University of Illinois study looked at water use in ag and food production from 1995 to 2010. Researchers report the main trend was a decline in water use by more than 8%. They believe it was driven by a combination of factors, including shifts in demand and more efficient irrigation equipment. Now let's check on some recent auction prices from around the country. And now back to Machinery Pete.
All right, folks, wipe that drool off your face, get cleaned up, and stick around because coming up, we're going to watch this sweet 1967 International 1100B pickup sell.
Every good season starts with one great deal. Get yours today with Farm Hard Rewards, going on now at your local certified Firestone Ag tire dealer.
On this week's BigIron.com online auction, we're going to focus on the equipment being sold by Larry Leckband of Waukegan, Iowa. And we're also going to visit with Mark Stock, co-owner and co-founder of BigIron.com. Well folks, if you follow me on social media, you know I love sweet vintage pickups, and we got a beauty here today. Larry, tell us about your 67 International 1100B.
I haven't had this pickup, I think 4 years now probably. Over at Milford, Iowa, there's a classic car museum over there run by Toby Shine, and he's in the salvage business in Spencer, but he's got a museum full of classic old cars, of which I have one in there. But anyway, the one that's in there I went to look at. It was a sale at Girard in West Wakanda, classic car sale, and Toby asked me if I would check 2 or 3 other vehicles. Well, I never took a trailer down because it's 100 miles away, but I wasn't going to buy anything. So I went and I looked at his cars, and I looked at the 57 Chevy that I was kind of interested in, a convertible. And it was thought beyond my means, and I didn't have a trailer, so I was ready to go home, and I had bought a few little small items and went to pay for them. And when I'm back to get my pickup, was shortly a little ways away from this. They were just getting close to selling it. So I thought, well, I'll wait and see. Well, I ended up with it without a trailer. I had to go back and get it. It's a nice little pickup. Very few old binders are in this unrustable shape. Came out of South Dakota, which probably made it survive because they didn't use salt until later. It's got a 6-cylinder with a 3-speed, which has probably helped it survive. Anyway, that's how I got it. That's the way it looks the way, and it was this way when I got it. And drives good.
Well, Mark, I got to tell you, scanning the list here of Larry's equipment, so fun to go down and look at all the cool vintage tractors and everything. But his pickup, his 1967 International 1100B, this white, this thing, what a sweet ride.
And it purrs like a kitten, and Larry was like a kid in a candy store, as were a lot of the people that came to his open house to look at Larry's equipment, specifically this pickup. So you just don't find them in this pristine condition. What a fun piece of history being sold today here on Larry Leckband's retirement sale.
Now, on the topic of vehicles, Mark, I've noticed over the years here, BigIron.com, I mean, I get sort of focused on tractors, combines, tillage, and that kind of stuff. But you guys sell a ton of vehicles weekly on BigIron.com, don't you?
Yeah, a lot of pickup trucks, a lot of collector vehicles, people that are restoring them, a lot of semi-trucks. A lot of trailers too, tremendous offering of cattle pots and grain hopper bottoms and flatbed trailers, detached trailers. We've got little utility trailers too.
Well, BigIron.com, you guys do it all, Mark. And as we're jabbering here, I see the pickup, $6,500 is what it wound up selling for. All right, folks, we're going to change it up a little bit. All these cool collector items on Larry's sale here for BigIron.com. But Larry, you got to tell us about your Haybuster 2650.
Years ago when I fed cattle, it would have been nice to have it, but they didn't exist. But I was being in the construction business, site work and site development and street building. I needed, a lot of times I was responsible for getting the grass seeded. It was always hard to get a good stand of grass established, but the secret to that is to pull the cattle feeder machine and put a big round bale in it, and it'll blow it out the side and leave a nice mat for probably 30, 40 feet.
There you go.
And mulch the deal. It had a hydrostatic tractor on it, could gauge the speed, get it how thick we wanted it. It worked excellent for that. I don't need it anymore. It's for sale.
It's for sale.
Wow, was that a super sharp Haybuster, and we're getting quite a few bids from this. So far, there's 15 unique bidders participating on this item. 5 different states is what's flashing on my screen when I count through the different states bidding, and we're getting close towards the end here on this particular item.
I noticed BigIron.com, you guys sell a lot of varied types of hay equipment. Has that volume been growing here in 2020, Mark?
Yes, it has. A lot of balers being sold, a lot of the windrowers, self-propelled, and the pull type machines have been selling. A lot of hay rakes. There's a lot of hay hauling equipment too. We're seeing a lot of livestock feeding equipment now that is picking up activity as we get into the fall months. So feed wagons are real predominant. Several of these bale processors, which makes life so much easier than going out there and scooping with a pitchfork. And those days where my back still hurts.
I see, Mark, it just wound up closing $9,200 was the sale price on it.
You bet. We've got a Nebraska bidder who is the winner on this one, out to bid a Minnesota bidder. So we had, as I had mentioned before, 5 different states and 15 unique bidders, 78 total bids as this thing finished out on today's sale for Larry.
Machinery Pete TV, brought to you by Ag Direct. For simple, fast, and flexible equipment financing, ask for Ag Direct. Machinery Pete TV, brought to you by the Cenex Total Protection Plan, the best warranty in the agriculture industry that keeps you in the field and provides you peace of mind. Visit Cenex.com.
Well, folks, I'm not sure how much the states of Oklahoma and Oregon have in common other than the fact they both start with the letter O. But I do know that each state recently saw a very strong auction sale price on a John Deere self-propelled windrower. Now, the most recent one was just last Thursday out in far northwest Oregon, where this 2018 John Deere W260, 260 hours on it, sold for $167,500. Now, that was without the head. The 2018 John Deere 995 16-foot rotary head went for $47,500 on its own. So if you put the two together, that's $215,000. Now, for perspective, the current average dealer advertised price on an 18 model Deere W260 is $139,050. Now, in fairness, my friends at Pape Machinery, a great John Deere dealer out there in the Pacific Northwest, told me they put $55,000 of modifications in this W260 so it could work in grass seed, but still $215K. Now, back on September 14th in north central Oklahoma, a slightly older John Deere windrower, this 2005 4995, also with a 16-foot John Deere 995 rotary head, and 573 hours on it, so low hours, sold for $70,000. Now, that is the second highest auction price I've ever seen on a John Deere 4995 and the highest price in just over 8 years.
My name is Dustin Anderson. I farm in the far southeast corner of North Dakota in a small town called Hankinson. Our farm consists of a lot of different pieces of equipment. Cenex offered an 8-year, 8,000-hour warranty on used pieces of machinery and a 10-year, 10,000-hour warranty on new pieces of machinery. I was awestruck. The reason we joined the program is because it was just such a low cost of entry. It just seemed like a no-brainer, and since then we had a combine blow up. We were in the very center of corn harvest. It was an overwhelming weight on our shoulders. We couldn't even believe it. I remember when I told my father what it was going to cost, he literally said nothing and just walked away because, well, what do you say to somebody when you just bought an almost $400,000 combine, then they tell you you owe them another $90,000. I called my local Cenex guy, Keith, and he had first asked, had you guys been keeping up on the oil sampling when you changed your oil? And I laughed and I said, yeah, my dad, he's very diligent about that. He won't let us change a piece of equipment in the yard without doing that anymore now. After Keith looked into the Cenex Total Protection Plan some more, he confirmed that Cenex was going to stand behind it. I was just so ecstatic. When somebody tells you that you don't have to pay a $90,000 bill, you almost want to just hug the guy. Honestly, I don't know how I could have a piece of equipment anymore that doesn't have a Cenex warranty. The oil and the fuel that we use through Cenex because of the Cenex Total Protection Plan is seriously just as good or better than anything we've ever seen in the industry. Our engines don't seem to use as much oil as they used to. They just seem to run better. I wouldn't use any other fuel besides Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster. It's been so good to us over the years. As of today, I view the Cenex warranty as more valuable than the factory warranty. It just seems ridiculously silly to do anything else.
Got equipment to sell privately but tired of scams and hassles? Visit MachineryPete.com and click Sell Mine. MachineryPete.com, the simple and secure way to buy and sell equipment online.
All right, folks, our feature item on the show today, this 1979 Massey 4880. Now, Larry, when I looked at the list of equipment that you're selling on the Big Iron Sale, I got to admit, this tractor really jumped out at me. Pretty low hours on this thing.
Yeah, the history, this tractor grew up 5 miles from me, so I know the history of it. A couple of bachelors They were in their 80s already, and they bought this tractor. I don't know for sure what year it is. It's the late 70s or mid to late 70s, and they got it and they used it 1 year on the farm, and the next year they started using it, and one of them got cancer, and one tried to farm it alone. It didn't work out, couldn't do it, so he ended up renting the farm out. The tractor got parked in the shed. They had a nice machine shed there. The tractor got parked, and how many years I don't know. I'm estimating maybe 20.
Okay.
It sat in that shed, and then they had a public auction, and another farmer about 5 or 6 or maybe 7 miles southwest of them bought the tractor.
Okay.
Didn't farm a lot of ground, but put the hours, most of the hours on it.
Okay.
And I left a message at Jaycox, international dealer in Worthington, that if he ever found a tractor, four-wheel drive tractor that was pretty fast on the road, in our construction business, I needed something to pull a big Q1A disc for scarifying and packing stuff in. He called me one day and he said this tractor came in, it got traded in on a Steiger. So I went up there and I bought it. And that's primarily all we used it for, was to work on the disc and the compaction. I calculated the age and the hours one day, it's 50 hours a year.
Well, Mark, a tractor that was attracting a lot of interest on our social media leading up to the sale, the 1979 Massey Ferguson 4880 four-wheel drive, showing 3,119 hours of Larry's. Again, this thing felt like it was going to ring the bell. A lot of interest in it.
Well, it's nice when you have the story, and Larry provides the pedigree for everything he has. That's just another reason why this particular tractor and all of Larry's tractors are getting so much attention.
Well, I see, Mark, it just closed $16,500. That's the highest auction price I've seen on a 4880 in 3.5 years.
Yeah, and we want to congratulate our bidder from Kentucky, now the proud owner of this beautiful 4880 Massey Ferguson.
Well, folks, my good friends at Kiko Auctioneers up in Northeast Ohio have been very busy. They've had some great auctions here late summer into fall of 2020. Now, one sale in particular that got my attention was back in the middle of September 16th in Millersburg, Ohio. This was an auction for a dealer there, Ackerman's Equipment and Rental. Now, they had some super condition hay equipment on this auction, and the one item that really jumped out at me was this 2018 New Holland 488 9-foot hay bind. Brand new, never been used, and it sold for $13,750, which is a record high auction price on a 488 hay bind. Now, the previous high auction price I'd seen on a 488 was $10,750. That was back in April of 14 on a farm auction in Wisconsin. Now, there were quite a number of nice round balers on this auction, including this Krone Bellamo 125, had 1,000 bales through it. That brought $12,375. If you're a New Holland fan, here's the New Holland BR 7050 2012 model, 2,000 bales through it. That sold for $7,975. There were a pair of Claas round balers. The 34 in the foreground went for $2,750, and the 46 in the background for $2,970. Now, there were also a pair of Pioneer round balers. This Pioneer 4400, which was an 18 model, 500 bales through it. That brought $17,050. And this 2019 Pioneer 4500 round baler, 550 bales through it, went for $16,500. Now, folks, remember, you can check out all these auction prices for free anytime at machinerypete.com. Just click on auction price data, hop in, and check out what everything is worth. Well, folks have been asking me for years, Pete, do you ever buy anything at all these auctions you've been covering all these years? And the God's honest truth is, I never have. Never wanted to bid against someone who was trying to get something. But I do have to admit, I think I should have bid on that sweet 1967 International pickup on today's show. That baby was awesome, and it will look great with the Machinery Pete logo on it. Folks, I'll see you back here next week, same time, same channel. Machinery Pete thanks these premier sponsors for their support. Sullivan Auctioneers. Let our team of professionals show you how to make your auction a success. Visit sullivanauctioneers.com.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.